must not let anyone define your limits.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Rod and welcome to Impact TCG, where you can indulge in all of your Lorcana habits here with me. Now, before we get started, please help your boy out. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Help me out. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers as fast as possible, and I appreciate all the support that has come my way. Now, Ruby Sapphire Pawpsicle Control has been the menace to the Lorcana society as of late. It's all everyone is talking about. I mean, have you played against Pawpsicle Control? And if you have, here's a tissue. Playing against Pawpsicle Control is like being the poor kid watching the rich kid play with all of their nice, new, fun toys. You look down at the 4 cards in your hand and you're like, this is fine, this is okay. And then you look across the table and your opponent got a fan bigger than Tamari from Naruto, ready to answer anything that you have to throw at them. But let's go ahead and look at this deck profile right here for you. So shout out to my boy Ryan, aka Lunchbox, for going 5-0 at locals this weekend and snagging that first place victory. Congratulations, Ryan, and thank you so much for providing this deck profile and all of your thoughts and theories on this list and how the deck should be piloted. He's a very, very good player and he knows what he's doing with this deck, and he's pretty much got everything that he needs for it. He was able to play the deck at what presumes to be full power and just wiping the floor with everybody that he played against. Of course, we have 4 Queen of Hearts, the 2-drop, 3 Noi. This card right here, very, very good, very underrated right now. We got 4 copies of Belle, 4 copies of Hiram. Flaversham, another new card from the new set, provides all your draw power. It's so good, just so good how you're able to abuse that. 4 copies of your big Maui. Obviously you got to play him if you're playing Ruby. Very, very good board control card. Another new card right here, 2 copies of Lady Tremaine, Imperious Queen. Basically has been the replacement for Dragonfire. She's a body conquest for 2 and pretty much does almost the same exact thing as Dragonfire, causing your opponent to actually banish a character. 4 copies of Gaston, Intellectual Powerhouse, a new card, question for 3. 2 copies of Maurice, another source of draw power late game or mid to late game. Hades, Infernal Schemer, 3 copies of that, staple in Sapphire builds. 4 copies of Tamatoa, and you guys will see if you don't already know how good this card is in this deck. 4 copies of your big Maleficent 9-drop Monstrous Dragon. More removal and board control for you right there. Now that rounds out all the monsters. We've got 4 copies of Teeth and Ambitions, the first song in the deck, 2-drop, and Inkable as well. Really good combos that you can do in this deck with this card. 4 copies of One Jump Ahead. This is just another ramp card for the deck to help them get to that high ink count very, very fast. 4 copies of Be Prepared. Okay, Ryan decided to run 4 copies of this, which is very, very understandable. You want to see Be Prepared. That is one of the primary ways that you turn the tides of the game with this deck. Now let's go to our items, which are kind of the heart and soul of the deck. I think we've got 14 items right here. 2 copies of Shield of Virtue, 4 copies of the memed to death card Pawpsicle. This is what helps this deck go and go and go. It's just so good, and being inkable on top of that. But I mean, come on now, you're never going to ink this card. It only costs 1. You could play it turn 1 and get your draw. It replaces itself. Just so freaking good. 1 copy of Poison Apple. This is what Ryan was using to exert some characters to get rid of them. And then we got 4 copies of the Fishbone Quill, of course, ramp cards, just ramp. And lastly, we've got 3 copies of Maurice's Workshop. Whenever you play another item, you may pay 1 ink to draw a card. Now that's the deck list right there. That deck was just so good this weekend. Like I'm so happy that he was able to do as well as he did with it. So as Ryan would state, the basic premise is to ramp and draw as many cards as possible and control the board state until you can finish out the game through Belle, Tamatoa, or your other numerous big threats that you have access to. You'll be able to ramp mostly using your 1 jump ahead Fishbone Quill and your Belle. You mainly will be drawing cards obviously from Pawpsicle and Hiram Flaversham. And oh my gosh, that, like, as many cards as I saw Ryan draw on just using Flaversham and his items, it was just insane. I was able to play against Ryan round 1 and he beat me 2-0. Very close games in 1 and 2, but he was just able to surpass me in the late game. He just out advantaged me and had everything that he needed. Very good combos using Hiram Flaversham. And he also liked to use Maurice and Maurice's Workshop for more card drawing, but that just goes to show that this deck can basically have almost infinite amount of card draw, especially when you're recycling those items back with the Tamatoa. Now another card that we talked about briefly that Ryan really liked was the Gaston Intellectual Powerhouse. He said that he couldn't be happier playing him this past weekend. He allows you to dig 3 cards deep into your deck to find the best possible answer for whatever situation that might be before you. And like we just said, Tamatoa used to quest high if you're able to get several items on the board while he's on the board as well. And every time he quests, I mean, he gets you an item back, man. It's just so good. Just think, like, you're destroying those Pawpsicles off of your Flaversham after already drawing the first card with the Pawpsicle, then drawing the other 2 cards off Flaversham, putting the freaking Pawpsicle back into your hand with Tamatoa, playing it again, drawing another card. It's just you can see how it could get out of hand really fast. Another card that he talked about was Noi, the 2-drop. So freaking strong. If you can open up turns 1 and 2 with an item and Noi, she can really stick to the board. It becomes really hard to get rid of her the first few turns because Noi actually gets resist +1 and ward on top of that if you have an item on board. So you can basically use teeth and ambitions to do damage to her. And if you got an item that resists, makes that damage into 1, and you can pop something else on your opponent's side of the field. Noi also can run into the new Cinderella Singer and stay alive as long as there's an item on board. So really helpful early game. So this is the card that obviously this deck uses to try to deal with aggro, and it's good at it. So we also have some of the strongest board control possible. I mean, you're looking at the Maui, traditionally in Ruby all the time. Lady Tremaine, obviously the newer card. Hades, Maleficent Dragon, and of course, Be Prepared. These are basically your Powerhouse staples according to Ryan. This is the way he chose to go. He really likes the ratios as well. Now, there are a lot of uninkables in this deck, but it just works, man. I mean, I think almost a third, if not a little over a third of this deck is uninkable. So But that's just the beauty of it. I mean, it fixes itself as the game goes on, as long as you have cards to ink and continue to ramp up, and eventually those big uninkables become big powerhouses. So that's just how good it is. One thing that Ryan did mention about the Lady Tremaine and how good she is right now, because she does something a little differently. So if you have a Cusco or a Cogsworth on board that you're trying to get rid of, and it's the last monster that your opponent has on board, Lady Tremaine says that your opponent has to choose the card to banish. Therefore, no touchy and ward don't mean anything in this case, because it is the opponent themselves sending the Cusco to the banished pile. Congratulations once again. I mean, he calls his deck himself Mr. Krabs and his items, referring to Tamatoa. But man, this deck is gonna be something that you're gonna have to be prepared for. No pun intended, for the rest of this format. I mean, for the next foreseeable future, we're not gonna get another set for a while. So I mean, be ready. Your deck needs to be built in some form or fashion to be ready for this matchup. So do your due diligence, you know, test as much as you can. If your friends have this deck, play against them. Do everything that you need to do, because this is going to be a deck that you're going to see, especially at these higher level tournaments that some of you may be going to. But I won't hold you guys any longer. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you stayed this long throughout the video, Ryan, thank you again, buddy, for the first deck profile on Impact TCG's channel. Man, shout out to you, man. You're such a great guy. I love playing with you at locals and everything, man. Keep being you, keep doing your thing, keep getting those wins. And everybody, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. And wherever you go, whatever you do, don't forget to make an impact.